Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for the brand new Arcane Vanguard subclass, the HELLIONAUT. This also comes with a War Magic rework, very cool. This will only be a level 12 version, I'll do a level 20 in the future, but with this we get ourselves the Fiendish bonds, which gives us a bunch of different benefits depending on the souls that we have bound. So these actions consume the soul, and every time a soul is consumed you get 2 turns of heat, and then it allows you to use some of the further benefits of this class, like the Pact of the Hell Hunt, the Hellfire Brand, the Pact of the Infernal Reprisal, the Pyrrhic Chains, and the Edict of Everness. So we actually have some really powerful abilities here, which I'll be breaking down in this leveling guide. I'll show off some gear as well as combat for this. So starting off at level 1, we'll be obviously selecting the Arcane Vanguard class. Now for our cantrips, if you got Mistress spells, you can use those, but we got ourselves the Firebolt and Bone Chill cantrips, which I think work very well here. And we also got ourselves the command spell, which allows us to use this to stop enemies moving towards us. We can also set up like a wall of fire and just let the enemies cook in it with this spell. And we also got ourselves Thunder Wave, but Armor of Agathis is a really nice spell to have too. And if you want to hide out, Fog Cloud also works well. For our fighting style, we only get to select one of these. I actually think the Read the Enemy works best, so this will add our intelligence modifier instead of dexterity to our armor class, which we're going to be using intelligence for our attack rolls and spell casting, so we may as well go all in on our intelligence, especially at level 12. So we're going to roll with that. And for the subclass, the HELLIONAUT. Studying the ways of the devil, the 9 hells, you bring the force of an infernal explorer to your battle prowess. So we get those Fiendish bonds that I talked about, so whenever we take an enemy, we can stack that up, which allows us to cast things like the Pact of the Hell Hunt. It consumes a soul. When this creature uses an attack roll to damage a target marked with the Hellion's prey, it will deal an additional 3 fire damage. This is a bonus action, and this will scale up as we level. You'll see the Hellfire Brand, which is 1d4 plus 1 fire damage, and half as much on a Constitution saving throw. That was successful. Every time that a creature takes damage, it will take 1 fire damage up to a maximum 11 to 14 fire damage. So we can brand a target, dealing additional damage. We also get the Thaumaturgy and produce flame cantrips. And we also get the Searing Smite, which does use your bonus action, just a heads up on that. And Hellish Rebuke, which is nice to see. And the Hellion's Hunt. Upon landing a weapon attack, mark the target with your Hellion's Prey. If your prey dies, you'll acquire the victim's soul. When in possession of the soul, you have access to Fiendish bonds. These actions consume the soul for various effects, and every time a soul is consumed, you gain 2 turns of heat, which allows use of some of the other features that you get later levels. While in the possession of a soul, you also ignore fire resistance, one of the most common resistances in the game. So this is obviously all around using our fire abilities, and we also have some nice things that can stack up, make this even stronger. Now level 2, we get the we use intelligence modifier for our weapon and damage rolls, so we always want to crank up our intelligence. I guess for stats, 16 dex, 14 constitution, 16 intelligence, 10 charisma and wisdom, and 8 strength there works best. And if you need strength, you can always pop a strength potion. Now for our next leveled spell, inflict wounds would make sense thematically here, but Armor of Agathis again is a really good spell. And if you're going to go with major armor, that can work too. Also going with like the Fog Cloud for just the survivability can work, but we're going to go with Inflict Wounds just for the theming of this. We're also going to choose a Vanguard talent, which I think that there's a couple really useful ones here, like the Liberating Spellcasting will give you a free cast of a level 1 spell, which can be kind of nice for short rest. Focus Shatter, whenever we break our focus on a spell, we can actually deal a ton of force damage on us. This one actually is quite powerful. And we can also go with the Arcane Transport to teleport around. I think that the Focus Shatter can be really good, especially if you have concentration that you don't really care about or you think will get broken. You can go with that as well. And Combat Acrobat also is a really nice one here. So after using a spell and weapon attack in succession, you have advantage on dexterity saving throws. So Fireball, very common one, and acrobatics checks until the end of your next turn, as well as 1 stack of momentum. So this one also is really good. I want to go with the Combat Acrobat there, just again because dexterity saving throws are so common. Now what we get ourselves here at level 3 is we get the Constructed Argument. You gain a bonus to your persuasion checks equal to intelligence modifier. And we get a bunch of subclass features like the Sacrificial Rite. When you fail a saving throw while in possession of a soul, you can use your reaction to consume the soul, gaining a bonus equal to your intelligence modifier to that saving throw, so you can get upwards of a +5 or 6 to that. And we also got ourselves the Hell Step Intercession. When an ally takes damage, you can choose Invoke Infernal Powers to switch places with them. When you do so, the attacker and all nearby enemies must make a dexterity saving throw or take 2 to 12 fire damage. And we also get the Pact of the Infernal Reprisal. When an ally takes damage, they reflect 1 to 6 fire damage and resistance to fire and necrotic damage. And also the Pyrrhic Chains. You can consume a soul to mark a target with Pyrrhic Shackles. For the duration, the creature loses movement speed. If a creature moves on its turn, it will gain the Pyrrhic Pull status, penalizing their armor class and saving throws. And we got Flame Blade and Heat Metal as our like Channel Divinity kind of spells. And then we also get our spell selection here at level 2, which has some really good ones, like the mirror image there, which will give you a +9 to your armor class. This is gonna be good to start off a fight. Shadow Blade's also really nice. Bonus action, you can create a psychic damage blade. Branding Smite's also nice, especially into Act 2, whenever we get a bunch of targets that turn invisible. I'm gonna go with the mirror image there, just because that's a nice way to, you can boost your armor class quite a bit at the start of a fight. At level 4, we get ourselves another choice in cantrip here. Shocking Grasp, Ray of Frost, or even the Mage Hand. Mage Hand, you can throw Arsonist Oil, which is kind of nice. It will remove fire resistances, but we can also do that. Unfortunately, its tooltips, the Arsonist Oil tooltip says that it gives vulnerability to fire damage, but it doesn't actually. It just removes the resistances. As for our next level spell, Branding Smite again, just for that invisible target removal. And we're going to boost up our intelligence with our ability score at level 4. Into level 5, this is when we get the Vanguard Spell Weave, and at level 7 we get a different version of this. So this is the new War Magic update. Whenever you take an attack action, you can cast a cantrip for free as part of that action. You may choose to cast the cantrip first, however one action must be a weapon attack and the other must be a cantrip. So this is kind of fixing things, because Booming Blade, obviously a big anomaly as far as class mods go. Booming Blade changes things. So yeah, this is makes it a little more balanced. We also get the spell Fireball and Fear, a very underrated spell. This makes targets drop their weapons so you pick them up. Everyone knows what Fireball does, deals damage. And we get level 3 spells, with some of the most powerful being Haste. However, if you have a Sorcerer, Twinned Haste is just better. And Counterspell, really nice. We always want to have a Counterspell user on the team, sometimes even 2. And we'll be the person that does that for the team. At level 6, we get our choice of another spell here, and then we can go with Haste too. Just a nice thing to have. And for our Vanguard talents, we get some more ones here. So we get the Student of War, which will add bonuses to whatever type of magic we end up casting. And the Elemental Cascade is my favorite. So whenever you do an attack with your default action, your weapon damage converted to the damage type of your most recently spelled damage, and applies a various status effects depending on the damage type. So we're gonna go with this to make all of our damage fire, and that's obviously pretty fun. We also got ourselves at level 7 the Vanguard technique. So this now changes the Vanguard talent to make it so that you can use spells, and you can cast a spell and an attack at the same turn using a bonus action. So pretty strong, but not overly powerful, not like OP. We also get the Fire Shield here, which gives you resistance to damage, fire or cold, and you can retaliate against melee attackers. And we also get the Wall of Fire spell, which, as I said, command works great here, so you can just get them to stand in there and cook themselves. And we also get level 4 spells here, with some of the best ones being like the Greater Invisibility, which can be useful for a lot of reasons. We also get Dimension Door, which can be pretty fun to have. Freedom of Movement can be useful if you don't have someone that already has something like that, but we're going to go with Greater Invisibility. The spells that we got are ones that we get from this class. Now, at level 8, we get ourselves another choice in spell here, so at this point, it's really okay to go back to some of the earlier levels and take some of the spells if you find you use them a little bit more. Even like Mage Armor could have been nice to take earlier. And for our feat, we're going to go again and increase our intelligence, because this has armor class, damage attack rolls, spell attack rolls, and much more. Now, at level 9, we get ourselves the Diabolic Resurgence. So if you're in possession of a soul and are dropped to 0 health points, you instead consume that whole soul and gain 9 health points. So we get upwards of 12. You also get the Infernal Mirage. When targeted by an attack roll, you can impose disadvantage, and possibly turning a hit into a miss. So that's also a nice one there. And we get the Edict of Avernus here. So enemies within 6 meters must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or suffer disadvantage on all saving throws. All allies within 6 meters gain temporary hit points and equal to their character level, and advantage on attack rolls. This effect will last until the start of your next turn. Pretty powerful. And we get ourselves Banishing Smite and Planar Binding, which allows us to bind our mind to a target. We'll also get ourselves like Wall of Stone, level 5 spells, Telekinesis. We got everything we need, so you can go again with whatever spells here you want. Telekinesis can be sometimes funny. At level 10, we get ourselves another cantrip. And we get ourselves another spell. So again, take whatever ones you want to take from previous levels. We got everything we need. And we get ourselves another talent here, which is a cool one, Spell Throwing. So any melee spells that you have will have a range of 5 meters now. That can be pretty effective. Vanguard Recovery allows you to recover 2 first level spell slots. It's kind of cool. And then you can go with, you can take whichever one of the ones you want here. I really like Focus Shatter too. Follow Up's pretty nice too. +3 bonus to attack rolls after performing a spell or a cantrip. Can be pretty effective. But Spell Throwing, increasing the melee spell range, is really nice just to have. And once we get ourselves to level 11, we get a very powerful spell, Planar Ally. I love this one. It's a conjuration spell level 6. And we get Tactical Strikes. Once per turn, when you attack with a weapon, you deal 1d4 of additional weapon damage. Pretty strong there. And we get ourselves a level 6 spell with things like Blade Barrier and Wall of Ice, which I love, so I'm going to take Wall of Ice there. And you can just make people walk right into it using command. And level 12 here, we get ourselves another choice in spell with Blade of Barrier. Globe of Invulnerability is a game winner, so I'd probably recommend going with this spell here, but Blade Barrier is another good choice. This basically makes it so you're immune to all damage. You can just hide out in that. And we'll go with an ability score improvement for dexterity. I guess dexterity doesn't really matter here. Alert was a good feat, I should have said. 5 to initiative, cannot be surprised. Also, the Savage Attacker can make you reroll your damage die if you want to go with something like that. Spell Sniper if you want to Eldritch Blast. I think the best choice here is Alert, or even just a better. If you're not going to use the Constitution Amulet, take up your Constitution, but we're going to go with Alert there. Going first is huge with this class. So, we want to get those souls, and how we do it, we're going to take out the enemies as quickly as possible, and I will show off how that's done with this gear. So as for our gear, I think the Power Quickness hat works well here, so when you deal fire damage with a leveled spell, you burn yourself and gain an additional bonus action this round. Honestly, very strong. We also get ourselves a Cloak of Protection for +1 armor class, the Armor of Agility, which will give us a nice 25 armor class, although Dexterity gets reduced to 0 by Read the Enemy, so this is at 25. However, this is the one time in a build where I think the Helldusk armor just fits perfectly thematically, so this one will increase your armor class to 27. You do lose the benefits there, but I think this one works well. You also get resistance to fire damage, cannot be burned, take like 3 less damage, and it applies burning to targets as well, so it just feels right for this class. Although you can also go with like the Robe with the Weave there for 23 armor class. That one can work pretty well, so I guess you could go with that as well if you were looking for something with that kind of flavor. The Rhapsody Blade, I think, works actually very well here because whenever we take out targets, we have the Scarlet Remittance. And you can almost think of that like consuming the souls of the enemies that we're attacking, because this will give us a +2 our spell save DC and also attack rolls and damage. I also like Viconia's Walking Fortress for the better armor class and survivability against spells. Hellrider Longbow for +3 initiative. Ring of Protection for that increased armor class. Killer Sweetheart's nice. However, there is a very powerful ring here that we can apply with the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel. Since we can get extra bonus action, we can then use that to cast our command spell as a bonus action. So Pyro Quickness and the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel work perfectly here. And the Amulet of Greater Health to set our health to 135. Now, what this will end up looking like in terms of combat, I will show you now. And I guess another tip is to take the Arcane Battery. So use a staff like the Staff of Spell Power here, give yourself that Arcane Battery, and then cast your Planar Ally. I think the best one makes sense is Cambion, but I think the Genie just works better because Thunderwave is such a useful spell with its teleport. So we're going to bring this fella in here, and then you can switch back to your Rhapsody Blade. And as we get prepared to go into combat, we want to apply the Mirror Image to ourselves. So we have our armor class up to 38 here with our mirror images up, which is obviously quite strong. So I guess I'll start off here just by setting up with, we'll just drop a classic fireball down to get things started. And I want to try and hit as many targets as possible. So we'll go with this here to hit that mage in the back. Mages are our bane because counterspell does screw us over pretty bad, and we're not wisdom based, which can mean things like command will also be tough to go against. So we want to make sure we're setting up properly. Globe of Invulnerability is nice, but since I only have me and my Genie here, it doesn't work well because you want to stand on the outer edges of it to keep your team safe and then prevent enemies from running into it. But we also got some pretty powerful attacks, so I'll show off the full kit here. I guess the first thing to go with would be like our damage or crowd control. So something like going with a Wall of Fire can be pretty nice. So we can go with that, or we can go with just an attack here to get ourselves on the board, I guess, in terms of damage. So this target's pretty low on health. We'll go after them and we'll roll the crit off on them. That didn't take them out, unfortunately, but we get that free casting of a spell here. Oops. So we're going to go with our Wall of Fire, which can be really great for just setting up kind of like a crowd control barrier. So we'll drop this down. We're going to drop that down. That didn't exactly happen the way I thought it would. But we also get the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel, which allows us to cast another spell. And also, I guess the Arcane Vanguard talent lets us cast again. So since we tried to cast a fire spell, it's letting us do this again, thanks to the Pyro Quickness hat. So I guess I can drop my Wall of Fire down, which took out the target that I wanted to get rid of. So this is perfect. If we had another bonus action, we would do command approach and then try to keep as many targets in the fire. We'd even go with like a command grovel in the fire. And with that, we'll just get ourselves into a good position away from our summon. And I think that was a pretty successful turn. And we got lucky there. They just ran into the fire, took themselves out. Now, I think the best target to approach would be, so we with our Genie, we want to get into a position where we can fling as many as we can with our little thunder wave here. So this will knock one of them into the water. This one will knock this one. This one will get burned. I think it's best to probably just target this one because he's out of the fire and he saved on it. So womp womp. And I guess we'll just put ourselves out into a better position here. And they're jumping through and taking fire damage, which is exactly what we want. Unfortunately, I got hit by my first attack there, and it broke my concentration, so that did suck. They did a tripping attack, breaking my wall of ice, or wall of fire. But that's okay, we can always just go with another spell once we get back up on our feet. We unfortunately don't have any souls collected yet to use our Fiendish bond on. Unfortunately, we aren't able to show off some of these abilities here, so I'll try to take out some more enemies to at least deal with this. Another wall of fire or a wall of ice would be nice, because the damage that we could do with this is actually pretty high, and we can just drop this like that right there, and it could actually do quite a bit of damage. So I guess we'll stack the wall of ice up here. Boom. That did quite a number on them, and it took out 2 of our targets. So unfortunately, still no Fiendish bonds, so maybe a weapon attack on this target will work here. So we also got the +3 bonus from Scarlet Remittance here, which you can use to make it an increased critical hit chance, which is actually kind of nice. Or we can just go at our regular old weapon attack here. So I'll just go with a normal melee there, and it did psychic damage, which is kind of cool. I think that's taking into effect the Call of the Weak, which so the Vanguard talent we took earlier that converts our weapon attacks into a elemental damage type is what's applying there. Now we want to get ourselves another bonus action, because we got things like command that we can cast. So we'll go with a fireball here, which we can hit 3 targets with and hopefully consume a soul. We now got ourselves a Fiendish bond that we can apply, so we got ourselves the soul contained, and now we can apply some of our cool effects here. So finally we can do that. I was going to use a command and try to make them command to walk into it, but I want to show off the Fiendish bonds that we got. So we got the back to the Hell Hunt here, which we can apply to this target and apply additional fire damage, or we can go with the Hellfire brand on that target. I think that might be a pretty solid option. Maybe we'll take them out. They got the brand on there now. That's the beautiful thing about our Pyro Quickness hat for that extra bonus action. We also get the Heat Convergence, so we can apply this, and this will then stack up our heat onto the target there, so a little bit further damage. And what's nice about this is we got our crowd control with that wall of ice there, and this is just going to continually pester the enemies. We got hit there, or we got missed there. It was nice. And the genie can just move around its targets and then go with the thunder wave there to just yeet them off to oblivion. That's why I like the genie so much. It's just very effective in the offensive realm. They can be, and again, makes more sense here though. So this is pretty funny. We have one of them on top of our wall of ice here. So I'm just gonna go with a fireball just to start things off early, because we want to get our bonus actions. So I'm just gonna drop I guess the fireball is kind of wonky with how the wall is set up. I guess let's drop it like this here, and boom. That, I guess, broke the wall of ice too, doing a little extra damage. That took out everybody there. We now have the iced air too. So we still don't have ourselves an extra, we don't have ourselves the Fiendish bond here to show off another one, but we got another target over here that we can go after. So with that, we also can go with a weapon attack. So that's typically what we would want to do. Vanguard technique allows us to even use a arrow attack too, so we can go fire off that. It'll do fire damage since we did fireball, which took out the enemies there, so that's always nice. And then we also got our Band of the Mystic Scoundrel finally working here, and we can go with an canned approach. That's obviously not a very high success rate, but we'll do it anyways and hope for the best. We landed that nice. So what's cool about this is, since we're fire focused, the Pyro Quickness hat's extra bonus action really matters, because the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel gets a big power up from it. And then we can just continually go ahead with our different fire spells. I'm just going to use a firebolt there to finish things off. But as you can see, pretty strong. The HELLIONAUT Arcane Vanguard mod made by Saethos. Incredible mod, and I'll be doing a level 20 build of this in the future. I want to see what other shenanigans we can get up to. But these Fiendish bonds, they're pretty strong. The Edict of Avernus here, stacking up and boosting our allies. So yeah, this is a pretty cool mod. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.